Hello and welcome to Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 121. I am recording on November 2nd, 2025, which is also the day I watched the movie. And this is the first movie of the 1942 Oscars. So it was the 15th Oscar ceremony. This is the second year where they called the award Outstanding Motion Picture. And the ceremony took place on March 4th, 1943. So this year, there's been 10 movies a year for the last 9 years or so of the Oscars. This year, there was only 9 movies. And then next year, there's 10 again. And then it goes on to just 5 a year up through 2008, which is I'm looking forward to. So the movie I watched this time, though, was Yankee Doodle Dandy. And I picked this one. It's Sunday. I had some time. When I have time, I try to pick the longer movies when I can. The longest movie this year is The Winner. So I obviously have to wait till that to watch that one for last. But this one is one of the longer ones. And I just happened to get I just happened to get a $5 Fandango rewards credit yesterday after seeing the Springsteen movie. So I decided to watch this one because it was available on Fandango now, and I used my credit towards that. So it was a $3.99 rental that I got for free. So far, starting off strong. So Yankee Doodle Dandy is a 1942 American biographical musical drama film about George M. Cohan, known as the man who owned Broadway. It stars James Cagney, Joan Leslie, Walter Houston, and Richard Worf, and features Irene Manning, George Tobias, Rosemary DeCamp, Jean Cagney, his sister, and Vera Lewis. Joan Leslie's singing voice was partially dubbed by Sally Sweetland. The film was written by Robert Buckner and Edmund Joseph and directed by Michael Curtiz. According to the special edition DVD, significant and uncredited improvements were made to the script by the twin brothers Julius J. Epstein and Philip G. Epstein. The film was a major hit for Warner Brothers and was nominated for 8 Academy Awards. In 1993, Yankee Doodle Dandy was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry. And in 1998, the film was included on the American Film Institute's 100 Years, 100 Movies list, compilation of the 100 greatest films in American cinema, ranking number 100. Produced by Hal B. Wallace and Jack L. Warner, cinematography James Wong Howe, edited by George Amy, music, scores and songs by George M. Cohan, score adaptation Ray Heindorf and Heinz Rohmheld, distributed by Warner Brothers, released May 29th, 1942, with a runtime of 126 minutes. So for those 8 Academy Awards, it was nominated and won Best Actor in a Leading Role for James Cagney, nominated and won for Best Sound Recording, nominated and won for Best Music Scoring of a Musical Picture, nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Walter Houston, Best Director for Michael Curtiz, Best Writing Original Story for Robert Buckner, and Best Film Editing for George Amy. In the Wikipedia here, it says Cagney had initially been opposed to a biopic of Cohan's life, having disliked Cohan since the actor's equity strike in 1919, in which he sided with the producers. In 1940, Cagney and 15 other Hollywood figures were named in the grand jury testimony of John R. Leach, self-described chief functionary of the Los Angeles Communist Party, who had been subpoenaed by the House Committee on Un-American Activities. The New York Times printed a front-page allegation that Cagney was a communist. Cagney refuted the accusation, and Martin Dies Jr. made a statement to the press clearing Cagney. William Cagney, one of the film's producers, reportedly told his brother, "We're going to have to make the goddamnedest patriotic picture that's ever been made. I think it's the Cohen story." This was, as I said, 1998's AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies at number 100. 2004, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Songs for the Yankee Doodle Boy at number 71. 2005, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movie Quotes. My mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you at number 97. 2006, AFI's 100 Years of Musicals, number 18. Also 2006, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Cheers at number 88. In 2007, AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, 10th Anniversary Edition at number 98. So it went up 2 spots. There's quite a bit of information on the background and production and everything in the Wikipedia. I'm not going to go into too much. So a couple of things. One, I'd obviously heard of this one. I obviously know who James Cagney is. Even before starting this, I knew who he was, and I'd seen him in a few of the movies before this. I didn't realize quite how good a singer and dancer he was. And really, I think I after watching The Public Enemy, I had read something saying that he was, considered one of the greatest actors ever, and he really is amazing. And after I saw The Public Enemy, I had agreed with that. I did not realize until towards the end that this was probably a biopic. I was watching it and I was like, sometimes I love movies, I love movie history. And, my knowledge of these older movies is not as extensive as, probably from the 70s on. But I know some things and this, I know a lot of the songs from this. And as I was watching it, I was like, wow, they really wrote a lot of iconic songs for this movie, thinking that they were written for the movie. And as it got towards the end, I realized, I was like, maybe this is a biopic. Maybe George M. Cohan was a real guy, which is kind of ironic because at the end of the movie, when he's older, a group of kids comes up to him and they're asking who he was, and they have no idea who he was. And he was one of the biggest Broadway producers ever. So, kind of funny. But I really like this movie. There's been several of these older like musical movies that I really like, and there's a very big difference from a musical back then that there is compared to a musical now. So musicals now tend to be, whether they're based on like Broadway or not, they tend to be where music is part of the story in the sense that they are telling the story through the music. Like in Grease, they just start singing randomly. You know what I mean? It's not part of it. It's just they're singing. Like all of a sudden, everybody's singing, and they all know the dance moves and everything. A movie like this, and a lot of the other ones that I've watched in this series, music is a part of something like a stage production. So when you see a number in this, like Yankee Doodle Dandy, it starts out with him creating the song and he sings a little bit of it on the fly. And then it goes to the actual production of what it looked like at the time. And so it's not that the song Yankee Doodle Dandy is telling the story like a song in Grease might. It's just they're showing the song in a production in the movie. So it's not quite as jarring. I get why people don't like musicals now because of that. I don't mind it, but I understand why people don't like it. Whereas this, I feel like, is a different way of including the music without making it weird, I guess. So I really like this movie. The one thing I noted very early on when it was showing Cohan's younger life before he became a 43-year-old James Cagney playing a 20-year-old George M. Cohan. When he was a little boy, there was a scene where him and the family. Oh, and the family, by the way, the father is played by Walter Houston, who is the father of John Houston, and the grandfather of Angelica Houston. And there was a little tidbit I read in IMDb trivia about him that I thought was interesting. So I will share it now. Said there are 3 generations of Oscar winners in the Houston family: Walter, his son John Houston, and his granddaughter Angelica Houston. They're the first family to do so. The second family were the Coppolas: Francis Ford Coppola, Sophia Coppola, Nicolas Cage, and Carmine Coppola. He appeared in 4 Oscar Best Picture nominees: Dodsworth, which is one that I watched, The Maltese Falcon, I watched for the last time, Yankee Doodle Dandy, and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. So anyway, the family was, doing their act that they traveled around the country doing, and there was a point where they were all very happily dressed in blackface. And I was like, whoa, that's, again, it's not uncommon for that time, and it was accepted at that time, but it's strange to see now. So I gave this 4.5 stars. And it may seem silly, but I really did take away the half star because of the blackface. It's a product of its time. There's nothing that could be done about that. But for that one simple thing, it's not a perfect movie. and 4.5 is still pretty good. You know, it's teetering on the edge of 5, if not for that. So, a couple of other things from Wikipedia. Cohan himself served as consultant during the production of the film, as well as being credited with the incidental score. Due to his failing health, his actual involvement in the film was limited. But when completed, the film was privately screened for Cohan, and he commented on Cagney's performance. My God, what an act to follow. Because of Cohan's health, Warner Brothers moved the scheduled gala premiere from July 4th to May 29th. The original date was chosen because of the film's patriotic theme and because in the movie, Cohan is said to have been born on the 4th of July, as he wrote in the lyrics of Yankee Doodle Dandy. However, Cohan was actually born July 3rd. What a jerk. He lied. Anyway, Cohan lived for several months after the film's release. All right. So yeah, this was pretty good. This was a good one. I probably should have watched it with the whole family because I think they would have liked it. Not my daughters, but my wife and my parents. They probably would have liked it. But and who knows? Maybe I'll watch it again sometime. But pretty good start to the 1942 Oscars. I don't know most of these movies. I've heard of some. The Pride of the Yankees, Mrs. Miniver, The Magnificent Ambersons. Most of these I haven't heard of, but we'll see how the rest goes. I might have set the bar too high starting with this one. See you next time.